There are women calling prison comfort and captivity love. There are women trading their dignity for crumbs of attention. There are women accepting emotional violence, thinking it's intensity of feeling. And today, I'm going to show you why this is not just an error in judgment, but a spiritual trap that is destroying thousands of lives. If you don't wake up now, it may be too late to recover who you were created to be. Stay until the end, because what I'm about to reveal may be exactly the liberation your soul has been crying out for in silence. This message could save your life. There is a silent epidemic happening right at this moment. Women of God, intelligent women, talented women, women who were created to shine, are settling for relationships that destroy them a little each day. And the scariest part isn't that they're suffering. The scariest part is that they're calling this suffering love. They're romanticizing pain. They're glorifying toxicity. They're confusing obsession with passion, control with care, manipulation with emotional intensity. Pastor Billy Graham preached for over 70 years, and one of the things he constantly repeated was this penetrating truth. The devil's greatest deception is not making you believe an obvious lie, but making you call the lie truth and defend that lie as if it were the very word of God. And I want you to understand something very important today. When you accept less than what God planned for you, when you settle for crumbs when God prepared a banquet, when you accept being treated as an option when God created you to be a priority, you're not just making a relationship mistake. You're sinning against your own purpose. You're betraying the plan God has for your life. You're wasting the precious time He gave you on this earth. This may sound harsh, may seem cruel, but let me tell you something with all the love and truth that exists in my heart. Sometimes the most loving word someone can tell you is not a word of comfort, but a word of confrontation. Let me tell you a true story that Billy Graham shared during one of his evangelistic crusades in New York in the 1950s. There was a young woman in the audience, 26 years old, graduated in economics, worked at a bank, had a promising career ahead. But she had been in a relationship for 4 years with a man who verbally abused her every day. He called her fat, stupid, incompetent. He controlled how she dressed, who she talked to, where she went. He constantly checked her phone, accused her of cheating without any evidence, isolated her from her family and friends. And do you know what phrase this man repeated whenever she threatened to leave? I do this because I love you too much. I can't lose you. You drive me crazy with jealousy because you're everything to me. And that young woman believed it. She believed that possessiveness was love. She believed those daily insults were just moments of stress. She believed she needed to be more patient, more understanding, more submissive, more forgiving. She had grown up in church hearing sermons about the virtuous woman of Proverbs 31, about wives who win their husbands without words, just with their behavior, about forgiving 70 times 7. And she had twisted these biblical truths to justify her permanence in an emotional prison. That night, Billy Graham preached about John 8:36. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. And he said something that pierced that woman's heart like a double-edged sword. Freedom is not just being free from sin. Freedom is being free from everything that prevents you from becoming who God called you to be. And that includes relationships that destroy your identity, your dignity, and your destiny. When Billy Graham made the altar call that night, that woman came down to the altar crying in a way she had never cried before. It wasn't tears of sadness, it was tears of recognizing the truth. She understood for the first time in 4 years that she wasn't in a love relationship, she was in an emotional prison. She understood that biblical submission never meant accepting abuse. She understood that forgiving 70 times 7 didn't mean staying in a toxic environment. She understood that the virtuous woman of Proverbs wasn't an emotional doormat, but a woman of strength, dignity, and wisdom. That night she made the most difficult and most liberating decision of her life. She ended the relationship. And do you know what happened? 3 years later, she wrote a letter to Billy Graham's ministry, telling him she had become a counselor for women in domestic violence situations, that she had married a man who respected and honored her, and that for the first time in her life, she understood what it meant to be truly loved. Now I want to ask you a very direct question. What are you calling love that is actually control? What are you calling care that is actually possessiveness? What are you calling emotional intensity that is actually psychological instability? Because there are women right now watching this video who need to hear this truth. If he isolates you from your family and friends, that's not love, that's control. If he monitors your every move, every conversation, every like on social media, that's not care, that's sick obsession. If he explodes in disproportionate anger over small things and then blames you for provoking him, that's not passion, that's emotional manipulation. If he constantly criticizes you in front of other people and then says it was a joke and that you're too sensitive, that's not humor, that's psychological abuse. The Bible is very clear about how true love manifests. 1 Corinthians 13, the famous love chapter that everyone reads at weddings, says, "Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs." Now I want you to stop for a moment and compare this biblical description of love with what you're living. Is the love you're receiving patient or explosive? Is it kind or cruel? Does it not dishonor, or does it make you feel small and insignificant? Is it not self-seeking, or does it demand you sacrifice everything while he sacrifices nothing? Is it not easily angered, or do you live walking on eggshells, afraid of provoking another crisis? Billy Graham used to say that the devil is a master at taking biblical truths and twisting them just enough to transform them into prisons. He takes the beautiful concept of mutual submission in marriage and transforms it into license for abusive domination. He takes the sacred commandment to forgive and transforms it into an obligation to remain in destructive situations. He takes the virtue of patience and transforms it into paralysis in the face of injustice. And how many women of God are trapped in these distortions? How many women are enduring the unendurable because someone told them that's what it means to be a good Christian? How many women are dying inside because they were taught that their value is in enduring, in bearing, in never giving up, even when they should be running to save their own lives? Let me show you some biblical examples of women you've probably never heard preached this way. Think of Abigail in 1 Samuel 25. She was married to a man named Nabal, And the Bible describes Nabal with very specific words. He was harsh and evil in his dealings. Abigail was intelligent and beautiful, but was trapped with a foolish and cruel husband. And when Nabal insulted David and put the entire family in mortal danger because of his arrogance and rudeness, Abigail didn't stay home praying for God to change her husband's heart. She acted. She made a strategic decision and saved the entire household from destruction. And when Nabal died sometime later, the Bible doesn't say that Abigail mourned the wonderful husband she had lost. No. The Bible says that David sent messengers asking Abigail to marry him, and she promptly accepted. Abigail understood that wisdom is not remaining in destructive situations, praying they'll improve. Wisdom is acting intelligently to protect your life and your future. Think of Tamar, King David's daughter, in 2 Samuel 13. She was violated by her half-brother Amnon, and after he violated her, the Bible says the hatred he felt for her was even greater than the desire he had felt before. He threw her out of his room as if she were trash, and Tamar tore her garments, put ashes on her head, and went out crying. She didn't hide the abuse. She didn't protect her aggressor's reputation. She didn't pretend nothing had happened to keep family peace. She denounced. She cried publicly. She made it clear that an injustice had been committed. Tamar teaches us that there is no virtue in hiding violence, no holiness in protecting abusers, no honor in remaining silent before injustice. Think of Esther, who risked her own life entering the king's presence without being called to save her people from destruction. Esther teaches us that sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is break unjust rules to protect innocent lives. And now I need to talk about something that is extremely controversial but absolutely necessary. The distorted idea that a good Christian wife should never consider divorce, no matter what happens. Let me be very clear about what the Bible actually says. Jesus, in Matthew 19, was questioned by the Pharisees about divorce. And he said that Moses allowed divorce because of the hardness of human hearts, but that in the beginning it was not so. Jesus was defending God's ideal for marriage, permanent union, mutual sacrificial love, lifelong commitment. But Jesus also recognized the reality of sin and hardness of heart. He didn't say you must remain in a marriage where there is repeated adultery, physical abuse, abandonment, or any other situation that puts your life at risk. Paul, in 1 Corinthians 7, even says that if an unbelieving spouse wants to separate, let them separate, for God has called us to live in peace. Peace. That's the key word. God called us to live in peace, not in constant war, not in daily terror, not in perpetual anxiety, not walking on broken glass, trying not to provoke the next explosion. If you're in a relationship where there is no peace, where there is physical violence, where there is systematic emotional abuse, where there is chronic infidelity, where there is untreated addiction that is destroying the family, you need to understand something. Remaining in that situation is not faith, it's foolishness. Enduring abuse doesn't make you holier, it makes you more wounded. Tolerating violence doesn't glorify God, it glorifies the devil who came to steal, kill, and destroy. Billy Graham, in an interview in his last years of life, was asked about domestic violence, And he said something that shocked many in his conservative audience. He said, "If a man is beating his wife, she needs to leave that house immediately and seek help. This is not a spiritual problem that is solved with more prayer and more submission. This is a criminal problem that requires intervention from authorities." Billy Graham understood something that many religious leaders refuse to understand. God never, ever, under any circumstances, wants you to remain in a situation that threatens your life or the lives of your children. Never. And now I want to talk specifically about the tactics that abusive men use to keep women trapped. Because if you recognize these tactics, you can begin to see your situation with clarity. First tactic, isolation. He gradually starts distancing you from your family. First it's, "Your mother doesn't like me, your sister is always meddling, your friends are a bad influence." And little by little you realize you have no one left, just him. And when you only have him, you become emotionally dependent on him. And the more dependent you become, the more power he has over you. Second tactic, devaluation. He systematically attacks your self-esteem. "You're fat, you're ugly, you're worthless, no one else would want you, you should be grateful I'm with you." And after hearing this repeatedly, you start to believe it. You start to think he's right, that you really have no value, that you really should be grateful for him accepting you despite all your imaginary flaws. Third tactic, blame. Nothing is ever his fault. If he yells, it's because you provoked him. If he assaults you, it's because you made him angry. If he cheats on you, it's because you weren't meeting his needs. He turns you into the villain of his story. And you, wanting peace, wanting harmony, wanting the relationship to work, start accepting this narrative. You start thinking that if you just changed, if you just were better, if you just tried harder, everything would be fine. Fourth tactic, cycle of abuse. He explodes, hurts you deeply, and then comes the honeymoon phase. He cries, he asks for forgiveness, he swears it will never happen again, he buys flowers, he's romantic, he's attentive. And you think, this is the man I fell in love with, this is the real him, that other one was just a moment of stress. You forgive, you believe, you invest again. But in a few weeks or a few months, the tension starts building again, and the cycle repeats. And with each cycle, the abuse gets a little worse, and the honeymoon phase gets a little shorter. Fifth tactic, threats. "If you leave me, I'll kill myself. If you leave me, I'll take your children from you. If you leave me, I'll destroy your reputation. If you leave me, no one at church will believe you." These threats are designed to paralyze you with fear. And many women remain in terrible situations for years because they're afraid these threats will materialize. But let me tell you a liberating truth. His actions are not your responsibility. If he chooses to hurt himself, that's his choice, not your fault. If he threatens to take your children, seek a lawyer and document everything, because the legal system exists to protect victims of abuse. If he threatens to destroy your reputation, remember that truth always comes to light, and those who truly know you will believe you. Now I want to talk about something very specific that is destroying women in this generation: the romanticization of toxicity in pop culture. Movies, series, songs, books, all glorifying sick relationships as if they were the pinnacle of true love. The possessive guy who shows up at her house uninvited is portrayed as romantic. The jealous guy who fights with any man who looks at her is portrayed as protective. The controlling guy who dictates what she can wear is portrayed as someone who cares. The emotionally unstable guy who oscillates between intense love and cruel coldness is portrayed as deep and complex. And millions of young women are consuming this content and internalizing the message that real love is chaotic, dramatic, painful, turbulent. They're confusing warning signs with attractive characteristics. They're actively seeking men who exhibit toxic behaviors because they've been taught this is exciting. Billy Graham said that each generation has its own specific idolatries, and I tell you that this generation's idolatry is the romanticization of emotional suffering. Women are bragging about how much they cry because of him, as if tears were a measure of love. Women are proud of how much drama exists in the relationship, as if peace were a sign of coldness. Women are competing over who forgives more serious betrayals, as if blind loyalty were virtue. This is not love, this is idolatry. You're putting an imperfect man in the place that only God should occupy in your heart. You're allowing him to define your worth, your identity, your purpose. You're building your entire life around him. And when he disappoints you, when he hurts you, when he abandons you, your world crumbles because he was your world. Let me tell you what the Bible really teaches about where your value should be founded. Genesis 1:27 says, "So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them." You were created in God's image. This means you carry within yourself the reflection of the Creator of the universe. You don't need validation from any man to have value. Your value is intrinsic. It was given by God at the moment of your creation, and no human being has the power to take that away from you. Psalm 139:13-14 says, "For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made." God formed you intentionally, carefully, wonderfully. You're not an accident. You're not a mistake. You're not disposable. Ephesians 2:10 says, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." God has specific works prepared for you to accomplish on this earth. You have a purpose, you have a calling, you have a destiny. And when you remain in a destructive relationship, you're aborting God's purpose for your life. You're wasting the time He gave you. You're burying the talents He entrusted to you. This is not humility. This is not holiness. This is disobedience. Because God didn't call you to be anyone's emotional doormat. He called you to be the light of the world, the salt of the earth, a city on a hill that cannot be hidden. And now I need to speak to a specific group of women watching now, those who have already left the toxic relationship but are considering going back. You ended it. You had the courage to leave. You endured the first weeks or first months of separation. But now he's calling again. He's texting again. He's promising he's changed. He's saying everything you always wanted to hear. He's doing everything you always asked for. And you're starting to think, maybe this time will be different. Maybe he really has changed. Maybe I should give him another chance. Stop, take a deep breath, and listen to what I'm about to tell you. True change takes time, requires professional help, and demonstrates itself through consistent actions over months and years, not through desperate promises and temporary behavior. If he really changed, he'll understand you need space and time. If he really changed, he won't pressure you to come back immediately. If he really changed, he'll seek therapy, will work on himself without demanding anything from you, will respect your boundaries. But if he's bombarding you with messages, showing up where you are, manipulating friends and family to intercede for him, making dramatic scenes, threatening to hurt himself if you don't come back, this is not change. This is desperation. This is the cycle of abuse repeating itself. This is the honeymoon phase, trying to pull you back so the cycle can continue. Don't fall for that trap again. You didn't leave a prison to voluntarily go back and lock the door from the inside. Billy Graham told the story of the people of Israel in the desert. They had been miraculously freed from slavery in Egypt. God had opened the Red Sea, had drowned Pharaoh's army, had freed them with signs and wonders. But when things got difficult in the desert, do you know what they did? They started longing for Egypt. They started talking nostalgically about the pots of meat, the garlic, the onions. They conveniently forgot the whips, the forced labor, the babies being thrown in the river, the constant oppression. Selective memory made them romanticize slavery. And how many women are doing the same thing? You left the emotional prison, but now you're missing the jailer. You were freed from abuse, but now you're romanticizing the rare good moments and forgetting the many bad moments. You're allowing temporary loneliness to make you forget the constant suffering you lived in. Let me ask you some practical questions that will help you have clarity. When you were with him, did you feel closer to God or more distant? Were you growing spiritually or withering? Were you becoming a better version of yourself or a frightened shadow of what you used to be? Were your gifts and talents flourishing or being suffocated? Were your friendships strengthening or being destroyed? Was your family at peace or worried about you? If the answers to these questions indicate that relationship was diminishing you instead of building you up, then why do you want to go back? Why do you want to choose again something that almost destroyed you? There's a verse in Proverbs 26:11 that says, "As a dog returns to its vomit, so fools repeat their folly." It's a disgusting image, but that's exactly what God is saying. Going back to what made you sick is like a dog going back to eat its own vomit. It's repulsive, it's self-destructive, it's irrational. You deserve better. You were created for better. God has better prepared for you. But you need to have the courage not to go back. You need to have the discipline to block the number, delete the photos, avoid the places where he frequents, and move forward with your life. And for those thinking, "But I still love him, I can't just turn off my feelings," let me tell you something liberating. Love is not just feeling. Love is choice. And you can choose not to feed that feeling anymore. You can choose not to read the old messages. You can choose not to keep looking at the photos. You can choose not to stalk him on social media. You can choose not to ask about him to mutual friends. Every time you do these things, you're feeding a feeling that needs to die. You're watering a plant that needs to dry up. You're keeping alive a flame that God is trying to extinguish. Cut off the oxygen source. Let this sick love die. And trust that God, in due time, will bring a healthy love that doesn't hurt you, doesn't diminish you, doesn't control you, but honors you, respects you, and builds you up. Now, I want to speak to the women who have never been in an abusive relationship but are watching because they know someone who is. Maybe it's your sister, your friend, your co-worker, your daughter, and you've been trying to help, but she won't listen. She keeps going back. She keeps making excuses for him. She keeps defending the indefensible. And you're frustrated, you're tired, you're ready to give up on her. Don't give up. Your constant presence and unconditional love may be the only lifeline she has. But here's what you need to understand. You can't save her, only she can choose to save herself. You can't force her to leave. You can only be there when she finally decides to leave. Here's what you can do. Keep reminding her of who she was before him, of the brightness she had, of the dreams she pursued, of the joy she radiated. Keep being a voice of truth amid the sea of lies he tells her. Keep offering practical help, a place to stay, a lawyer's contact, support line numbers, financial resources if you can. Keep praying for her, because sometimes prayer is the only weapon we have against spiritual strongholds. And keep waiting, because the day may come when she finally wakes up, and when that day comes, she'll need you. Billy Graham said that no one is so far that they cannot be reached by God's love, and no one is so trapped that they cannot be freed by God's power. But God, in his wisdom, chose to work through human vessels. He chose to use you and me as his instruments of rescue. So don't give up on that woman. She may seem stubborn, she may seem blind, she may seem like she's choosing him instead of you. But what she's really doing is fighting a spiritual battle you can't fully see. Have patience, have compassion, and trust that God is working even when it seems nothing is changing. And now we're getting to the heart of this message, to the crucial point where you need to make a decision. Because everything that has been said so far is useless if you don't act. Information without transformation is just entertainment. You can agree with every word I said. You may have cried through this entire message. You may even be sharing this video right now. But if tomorrow you wake up and go back to the same toxic relationship, nothing has changed. The decision is in your hands. God won't force you to leave. He won't magically transport you to another place. He gave you free will, and he respects the choices you make, even when they're destructive choices. But let me tell you what will happen if you continue on the path you're on. You'll look back 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and you'll bitterly regret every day you wasted in that prison. You'll remember the dreams you buried. You'll remember the talents you let wither. You'll remember the opportunities you missed. You'll remember the strong woman you used to be and that you allowed to be broken piece by piece. And the saddest part is that you won't be able to get that time back. You won't be able to relive those years. They'll be lost forever. But you know what's even more tragic? It's that your children, if you have children, will grow up thinking that what they saw in your home is what's normal. Your daughters will think being treated like this is acceptable. Your sons will think treating women like this is acceptable. You're not just destroying your own life, you're programming the next generation to repeat the same destructive patterns. Billy Graham preached a powerful message in his last years where he said, "The greatest regret you'll have when you reach the end of life won't be for the mistakes you made, but for the opportunities you let pass, for the better versions of yourself you never allowed yourself to become, For the callings of God you ignored because you were afraid to change. Don't let your greatest regret be having remained in a prison when the door was always unlocked. Don't let your epitaph be, "Here lies a woman who had infinite potential, but chose to live on crumbs." You were created for more. You were called for more. You deserve more. And I want to tell you something that maybe no one has told you yet. Leaving is not giving up. It's choosing yourself. Ending is not failing. It's having courage. Starting over is not weakness. It's strength. You're not abandoning your Christian principles. You're finally understanding what they really mean. Because true Christianity doesn't glorify unnecessary suffering. It celebrates redemption, restoration, resurrection. Jesus said in John 10:10, "The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the fullest." Abundance. That's God's promise for you. Not crumbs, not survival, not mere existence, but abundant life. And if the relationship you're in is stealing your peace, killing your dreams, destroying your identity, then it doesn't come from God, it comes from the thief. Billy Graham said there is a moment in every person's life where God places before them an open door and says, "I've shown you the way. I've given you strength. I've surrounded you with help. Now you need to take the step." That moment may be now for you. That door may be open right in front of you at this exact second. But you need to have the courage to walk through it. And I know what you're thinking. I know the excuses going through your head right now. But I still love him. But what if he really changes this time? But I'm afraid of being alone. But what if no one else wants me? But what about the children? But what about people's opinions at church? But I have nowhere to go. But I don't have money. But. Let me tell you something about these buts. They are chains. They are the bars of your prison. They are the voice of fear trying to keep you paralyzed. And for every but you have, God has an answer. But I still love him. True love builds up, it doesn't destroy. What you feel may be traumatic attachment, not love. But what if he changes? What if he doesn't change? How many more years will you waste waiting for a transformation that may never come? But I'm afraid of being alone. Better alone than in bad company. Temporary loneliness is preferable to permanent suffering. But what if no one else wants me? You don't need someone to want you to have value. Your value comes from God, not from relationship. But what about the children? Your children deserve to see a strong, happy mother who respects herself. They deserve to grow up in peace, not in constant war. But what about people's opinions? Those who judge you aren't living your pain. You don't need to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. But I have nowhere to go. There are shelters, there are support organizations, there are people willing to help. You're not as alone as you think. But I don't have money. You have life, you have health, you have capacity. Money can be rebuilt, but lost years cannot be recovered. For every obstacle that seems insurmountable, there is a solution. For every excuse that seems valid, there is a greater truth. And the greater truth is this: God didn't bring you this far, didn't make you hear this message, didn't awaken you to this consciousness to leave you trapped. He's preparing you for an exodus. He's calling you to leave Egypt. He's inviting you to the promised land. But just as the Israelites had to take the first step into the Red Sea before God opened it, you need to take the first step of faith. You need to start walking toward freedom before all the details are resolved. You need to have the courage to say enough before knowing exactly how everything will work out. And I want to give you some practical steps right now. If you're in an abusive situation and you're ready to leave, here's what you do. First, document everything. Messages, emails, photos of bruises if there are any, witnesses to incidents. Documentation is your ally. Second, tell someone you trust. Don't keep it secret. Abusers thrive in silence. Bring light to the situation. Third, make a safety plan. Have important documents in a safe place. Have some money saved if possible. Know where to go in an emergency. Fourth, seek professional help. Lawyer, therapist, counselor, support groups. You don't have to go through this alone. Fifth, establish firm boundaries. Don't give in to manipulation. Don't believe empty promises. Don't go back on your decision every time he makes a scene. Sixth, take care of yourself. Physically, emotionally, spiritually. You've been through trauma. You need healing. Give the process time. And while you're doing all this, remember, you're not abandoning a relationship. You're saving a life, your life. And your life matters. It matters to God. It matters to people who truly love you. And it needs to matter to you too. Billy Graham told the story of a man who spent decades trapped in a dark cave. When someone finally came to rescue him and opened the cave entrance, the man didn't want to leave. He was afraid of the light. He was afraid of the unknown. He had become so accustomed to the darkness that it became his comfort. But the rescuer said, "I know you're afraid. I know the darkness seems safe because it's familiar. But true life is out there. Sun, fresh air, freedom, possibilities. You just need to take one step toward the light." You're at the entrance of that cave now. Behind you is the familiar darkness, the known suffering, the comfortable prison. Before you is the light, the unknown, but also freedom, the possibility of starting over, the chance to finally live the abundant life Jesus promised. What will you choose? And let me tell you one last thing before closing. Your story doesn't end here. This painful chapter you're living is not the entire book. God is a specialist in transforming victims into victors, in transforming brokenness into strength, in transforming scars into testimony. The woman Billy Graham saw at that altar in 1950, the one who had been trapped for 4 years in an abusive relationship, she didn't just leave. She became an instrument of liberation for hundreds of other women. Her test became her testimony. Her pain became her purpose. And the same can happen with you. A few years from now, you could be on the other side of this story, helping another woman who is where you are now. You could be the voice of hope that someone needs to hear. You could be the living example that it's possible to leave, start over, prosper. But to get there, you need to take the first step today. So I'm going to ask you a final question, and I want you to answer in your heart, in God's presence, with total honesty. Are you ready to be free? Are you willing to trade the known prison for unknown freedom? Do you have enough courage to choose yourself, even if it means disappointing other people, facing uncertainties, starting from zero? If the answer is yes, then don't wait until tomorrow. Don't wait until the next crisis. Don't wait until he changes. Don't wait until you feel stronger. Start today, now. Make a call, send a message, contact someone who can help. Take the first step, and God will meet you on the way. And if the answer is no, if you're not ready yet, I want you to know, God doesn't give up on you. This message will keep echoing in your heart. And when you're finally ready, when the pain of staying is greater than the fear of leaving, you'll remember these words. And on that day, you'll have the courage you need. But I pray with all my heart that this day is today, that you don't waste even one more day of the precious life God gave you, that you have the courage to walk through that open door, that you choose life, choose freedom, choose purpose. Billy Graham always ended his sermons with an appeal, an invitation for people to make a decision, and I'm going to do the same now. If this message touched your heart, if you know you need to make changes, don't let this moment pass. God's presence is here now, giving you strength, giving you courage, showing you the way. You just need to say yes. Say yes to freedom. Say yes to dignity. Say yes to the purpose God has for you. Say yes to abundant life. And say no, a definitive, final no, to everything that diminishes you, controls you, imprisons you. May God bless you. May He give you superhuman courage. May He open doors that no man can close. May He make a way where there seems to be no way. May He remind you every day of who you are. Daughter of the King, created in God's image, called for eternal purposes, worthy of respect, deserving of true love, destined for abundant life. You are not alone. God is with you, and this message is the beginning of your liberation. Believe it, receive it, and act. Your new life begins now. And let me tell you one last thing before we close. Your story doesn't end here. This painful chapter you're living is not the entire book. God is a specialist in transforming victims into victors, in transforming brokenness into strength, in transforming scars into testimony. The woman Billy Graham saw at that altar in 1950, the one who had been trapped for 4 years in an abusive relationship, she didn't just leave. She became an instrument of liberation for hundreds of other women. Her test became her testimony. Her pain became her purpose. And the same can happen with you. A few years from now, you could be on the other side of this story, helping another woman who is where you are now. You could be the voice of hope that someone needs to hear. You could be the living example that it's possible to leave, start over, prosper. But to get there, you need to take the first step today. So I'm going to ask you a final question, and I want you to answer in your heart, in God's presence, with total honesty. Are you ready to be free? Are you willing to trade the known prison for unknown freedom? Do you have enough courage to choose yourself, even if it means disappointing other people, facing uncertainties, starting from zero? If the answer is yes, then don't wait until tomorrow. Don't wait until the next crisis. Don't wait until He changes. Don't wait until you feel stronger. Start today, now. Make a call, send a message, contact someone who can help. Take the first step and God will meet you on the way. And if the answer is no, if you're not ready yet, I want you to know, God doesn't give up on you. This message will keep echoing in your heart, and when you're finally ready, when the pain of staying is greater than the fear of leaving, you'll remember these words, and on that day, you'll have the courage you need. But I pray I pray with all my heart that this day is today, that you don't waste even one more day of the precious life God gave you, that you have the courage to walk through that open door, that you choose life, choose freedom, choose purpose. Billy Graham always ended his sermons with an appeal, an invitation for people to make a decision. And I'm going to do the same now. If this message touched your heart, if you know you need to make changes, don't let this moment pass. God's presence is here now, giving you strength, giving you courage, showing you the way. You just need to say yes. Say yes to freedom. Say yes to dignity. Say yes to the purpose God has for you. Say yes to abundant life, and say no, a definitive, final no, to everything that diminishes you, controls you, imprisons you. May God bless you. May He give you superhuman courage. May He open doors that no man can close. May He make a way where there seems to be no way. May He remind you every day of who you are, daughter of the King, created in God's image, called for eternal purposes, worthy of respect, deserving of true love, destined for abundant life. You are not alone. God is with you. And this message is the beginning of your liberation. Believe it, receive it, and act. Your new life begins now.